It takes more than 100 gigabytes of RAM to be a great engineer. This is Soft Skills Engineering, episode 507. I'm your host, Dave Smith.
I'm your host, Jamison Dance.
Soft Skills Engineering is a weekly advice podcast for software engineers who have handed over their entire life's work to robots that need about 100 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah, there's plenty of second-order effects here. Never thought the supply chain would affect my day-to-day programming as much as it does now.
Yeah. And I think it's appropriate that we talk about gigabytes on episode 507, which is the HTTP status code for insufficient storage.
Ah, yes. Don't we all have that problem?
Insufficient memory, I guess? A little different.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been a thing that as hardware gets broadly better over whatever direction that means, people use some of that to do cool things you couldn't do before, and they also build more abstractions that make everything slower, and sort of like the work expands to fill the time allocated for it, like the memory footprint of a program expands to be some fixed percentage of however many gigabytes is common at that point. There's got to be some law like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Memory footprint of a web browser is always 20% of whatever the median RAM size is.
That's so true.
No matter what it is.
So weird.
Yeah, that's not what this show is about. Dave, should I thank our patrons?
Yes, I was hoping you would.
All right. It was my birthday.
Oh.
And on Monday. We're recording this on Friday, so I'm going to count this as a late birthday present. Thank you to these folks who contribute at the level where we shout them out every single week. Thank you to, according to Interpol, no, really, Brian Wolford is still in Germany. Angel Wood. No one knows my real name is Seth Angel. I thought this was a really funny name, but you didn't laugh. Now I feel self-conscious. How well would Will Angel gel if an angel would gel well? Okay.
Yes.
Please go to firetruckfaceoff.com on Thursday and vote for Coastside Fire Department.
What?
Stop the presses. What does this mean? It's like best fire department, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know if our publishing schedule will allow this, but
You might be too late.
yeah, good luck. My actual name on LinkedIn is Yami Debugging in the Dark Canny, the mobile development ordinaire first of his name. Name of his first ordinaire development mobile, the Canny Dark, the in debugging Yami is LinkedIn on name actual my Jacob Shand.
Wow.
Cavolti Ofer Quan Terti, or as my mother used to say, Theth Kuleth who's Nyeth. Is this like some Lovecraftian Cthulhu speak? I don't know what language that is.
Yeah.
The missing semicolon. Christy, the world's okayest programmer. Chuck Norris can successfully dereference a null pointer. Will Angel wrote out in LeetSpeak. Nick Molyneux, embedded engineers treat assembly the same way TypeScript engineers treat JavaScript. Javier Gonzalez, Chewy. Wait a second, how did you guys meet? Ted Timbrell. I Ike Chicken, I Ike Iver, but the difference between an uppercase I and a lowercase or uppercase L. Oh, they got me. An uppercase L and a lowercase I, can you de-Iver? A single open paren. William Angelson, Dan from Drone Deploy, Never is not just a crater on Mars. Flamingo emoji. I like chicken. I like liver. Meowmix, meowmix. Please deliver. Swiss Python Summit, the 22nd and 23rd October 2026. Kyle Boss, Kenzie Dodds. This podcast was recorded live in front of a studio audience.
Nice.
Jenny Kim, the stochastic parrot. How many angels can Will Angel will if Will Angel can Will Angels? Ira Chan, Jonathan King, deny beautiful functional user documentation. Should Angel vote now on your phones or computer at vote.williamangel.net? Dave's rap name would be The Wordsmith.
Yeah.
Adding inside jokes to your agents.md is a team-building exercise. I agree with that one. Braden Keynes, John Grant, Brittany Ellick. Guess who's back? Back again. /news back 27th of May. I don't know what that means. Close parenthesis.
Nice.
Followed by a single closing parenthesis character.
I love that one's at the very end of the list.
It does
Perfect.
feel right. If you really want to mess us up, then change your name to an opening parenthesis.
Oh, man. That just means we open next week's show
Early.
at the end of the
Yeah, that's
Patreon list. Yeah.
Also, I am hiring. One of your challenges is figure out where the job posting is, I guess. I don't know. That's the first step in the application
Nice.
process. I tweeted about it. It's on our website. Go find it. And if you can find it, apply if you're in the U.S. and are looking for a job. Dave,
Perfect.
do you want to read our first question?
Yes, this comes from an anonymous listener who says, "Hey there, I started a new job in August at a large European retailer. There were ups and downs, but long story short, My weekly one-on-ones with my manager was either positive or neutral. This was my second job after graduating, so the firm factored in, I'd like to think, when setting expectations. This was my first time switching code bases and tech stacks. On January 3rd, I was fired in the last month of my 6-month probation. This was a total surprise. My tech lead told me I required too much assistance from others to finish my tasks. Some part of me doubted the sincerity of my boss since I asked for example pull requests or tickets where this was the case, and he was unable to provide a single example. But obviously, like every dev, technical insecurities are a big part of my life. I'll be starting a new job at a prestigious newspaper in May, so here's my question. In a remote-first environment, how do I determine if I'm meeting expectations? How do I gauge my standing in my team? How do I avoid a repeat? How do I effectively integrate myself into a codebase? Disclaimer, at the end of January, everyone in my department was hauled into a meeting and was told the retailer hired 11 external Portuguese developers to, quote, finish the job since management wasn't happy with the output of the 9 internal developers, aka nearshoring, and no internal would get a pay increase this year. My tech's boss, I think my team's boss, was also fired/forced out/quit before he could be fired. Oh, that's an interesting piece of context that changes my thinking a little at the end there.
Huh. So not a lot of signal that things were not going well, and then fired in a surprise to you, basically.
And then pow.
And also some weird negative things at the end of January. So this is a recent question. It doesn't say when the exact timeline. Wait, started in... I'm trying to figure out... Okay, fired on January 3rd. Fired in the last month. Does that mean that they stuck around for the rest of the month?
I think what happened was they had a 6-month probation, and during the 6th month, they were fired.
Yeah, because at the end of January, did this happen after they were fired?
Yeah, maybe. I think so. It's like later heard from the department. That's what I interpret that as.
Yeah, so there's some fuzz here that indicates maybe it was partially due to business concerns, but I don't think that changes the core of the question, which is, this was bad. I would like to not be surprised in the same way again. How do I avoid it?
Yes, exactly. How do I figure out where I stand and not be blindsided? And I think question 1, there's probably an answer to this question that transcends all teams. But I think that's useful, and we will get to that, I think, probably. But I also wonder, as I sit here and consider this person and their experience, I would want to know, was I rightly fired or wrongly fired?
I mean, what does that even mean? Why do you want to know?
I mean, wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you obsess about this?
Yes, and I have obsessed about it when I've been laid off. Was it right or wrong? But right and wrong are, what does that even mean? Was it right? Like, was it the right move for the business to make? Did they correctly evaluate me when they decided to make this change?
Basically, I want to know, did they fire me for the reasons they stated? That I required too much assistance and that I was effectively not doing a good enough job as an engineer? Or is there something else going on? I would be dying to know.
How would you... there's not an oracle that can give you the truth of this, though. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's not anyone that can give you the truth of that. I think you're doomed to never know.
Yeah. I think the healthiest thing for you is to say it was probably a mix of both. And there were probably some outside factors. And also there were things I probably could have done better. And I'm never going to get a clear answer about this. I asked for example pull requests or tickets.
And I'll never know what those things are.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. I think there's this ideal state where there's an airtight legal case proving the expectations were really clearly communicated to you, and you knew they were clearly communicated. You knew what they were, and they've got documentation of the failures and documentation of talking about the failures, so you knew that they knew that you knew about this basically never happens.
Oh, it happens every time there's a pip.
Sort of, but even then, the pips are often... This all happened before the pip, and then the pip is the long... agonizingly slow descent of the guillotine.
After you're already strapped down.
Yeah, I think for better or for worse, it's often vibes based, and it's hard to argue your way out of getting fired unless it is illegal in an easily provable way. And It doesn't, I don't know. This is in Europe, so I don't know all the legal repercussions there, but I assume the fact that it was a 6-month probation means that there was some expectation of it's easier to terminate employment during the probation.
Yeah, for sure. And then it becomes really hard after.
Yeah.
And this is why I think in this scenario, given the fact that the lead was also, or the boss was also let go later, and the rest of the team was brought in to say, hey, you're not doing a good job. No one's getting raises. And we're outsourcing your jobs to this team in another country in Europe. This is all, I'm putting all the clues together. And listen, I'm no Sherlock, but I think they let you go. And the reason you got let go is because you were still in your probation when management decided that this team wasn't doing a good enough job. And they can't legally let the rest of the team go because it's Europe.
Yeah.
And they have to do more long-term painful things to actually let the team members go.
Yeah.
So that's my airtight, what's the word? Case closed. What do you call it when a detective actually figures out the case, cracks the case? That's me cracking the case.
This is your big reveal at the end of a mystery movie.
Yeah, that was it. This is my here's what happened moment.
The part that is unsatisfying about that to me is how that would not help me sleep any better at night in my next job. I think I would still feel in my bones there's a risk here that I might be suddenly fired, which I guess is true kind of always.
True. But you'll feel a lot better after 6 months on the new job.
Yeah.
After the probation period.
Yeah.
In Europe.
But I think it is worth examining what else could I do differently at this new job. Some of that is information gathering, right? You said you had vaguely positive one-on-ones, positive or neutral. And this depends on the manager. Some managers are more direct than others about their frustrations with you or where they believe you're not meeting expectations. Some will literally never tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you ask, hey, how do you think I'm doing? They will say, fine.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work to dig into this with someone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have often, not often, but somewhat often, I have had negative feedback for a team member as their manager, and I have withheld it because it is not concrete and specific and actionable enough. And I'm like, it's just a vibe, and I don't want to freak them out unless they have something really specific that they can do. And I'm like, well, you're just bad at your job.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell you that.
I think your IQ is too low.
Oh, no.
I will coach you. Now we will coach you on being more intelligent broadly in general.
Oh, my goodness.
There's
a core unchangeable part of your personality that I don't like.
Yeah.
That's not feedback I'm ever going to share. You know?
Yeah. But it could get you fired. Not you, Dave.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It could be. That's. And
oh, trust me, this personality definitely has gotten me fired.
So you need to be, if you want really clear feedback on how you are doing and where you stand, first, kind of accept that it's impossible. But second, you need to gather the information, not wait for it to be pushed to you. So
yeah, because the way it gets pushed to you is in your resignation.
Yeah, exactly.
Not always.
Yeah. Hopefully it's easy to tell if you're doing a great job. You get effusive praise. But even then, I mean, I don't know. There's some cultures where they praise you a lot.
Oh, listen, I got to tell you, I think most team members, most people that work at companies have no idea how good of a job they're doing when they are doing the best. I can't tell you how often I have sat down with someone to say, and I guess this reflects really poorly on me, but I've had multiple people sit down with me where I'm like, hey, I want to meet with you. And, it's that, hey, I want to meet with my boss situation. And
they're like, oh, am I going to get fired?
Yep.
Yeah. Classic manager mistake.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Oh, man, this is so embarrassing for me, but I guess we're just going to go there. I'm a terrible manager. This is what I have to say about this, but I try to be good. Anyway, I sat down with someone to give them an award. I called them up and I said, hey, they were remote, so I had to call them up. And I just said, hey, I want to let you know you have been selected as the engineer for your team of the year who did the most valuable work this year, the most impactful, the most recognized, most valuable. And I am awarding you this great honor for this year. There's a bonus associated with it. There's a little prize we're going to send you. And he was like, oh, wow. I thought you were calling me to fire me. I'm just like, I'm like, oh my gosh. So people, and that's probably happened to me 3 times in my career where I've wanted to sit down with someone and just give them some real big praise, and they were just so surprised. Even people who I know are really good engineers, and I know they know it somehow. And even, by the way, it's not just me. This is not just a me problem. I've had friends who were like, I walked into my boss's office and I had no idea if it was going to be a reprimand or praise, and it was praise. And I'm like, of course it was praise. I know you.
This is so common. Yeah, I mean, that's part of why it's advice to managers to don't say, hey, can we meet, without a thing. Yeah. And I've definitely done that before, and I hope I don't do it anymore.
It's easy to forget once in a while, but I always try to remember, like, hey, there's nothing wrong, but I need to meet with you.
I need to meet with, can we talk about specific thing X?
Yes, exactly. Like, hey, I need to reschedule a meeting. Can I meet with you for a minute? Not like, can we meet? Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess the point of that whole monologue was nobody knows where they stand. The best engineers in the world don't know where they stand. And by the way, the people who think they are the best in the world often are the opposite. I'm the best engineer on this team.
Yeah.
Debatable.
Yeah, I think that is part of why it's kind of on you. Some of it is on you to gather the information, and there's layers here. There's what is your boss's opinion of your performance, and that's separate from kind of what is your performance in some idealized, abstract, absolute sense, which is hard to gather, but maybe a different version of that is what is your judgment of your performance compared to your peers. If that's a thing you don't want to be surprised by, then you should be able to collect information. A great way to do this is specific questions. Hey, do you have any feedback for me? Is the worst way to get feedback.
Yep.
Hey, what did you think about how I handled that customer complaint? Do you wish it had gone faster?
Yeah, very specific. I like that. Like, how was my response time on that?
Yeah. Or this PR, took a while to get merged. What do you think I could have done better to get it through faster? Or I don't know, the more specific your question is, the better your feedback will be. And it also reflects well on you, I think, in general, to just show, like, I would like to get better.
Now, Jamison, I can't help but observe that these ideas you just shared are all about collecting objective, accurate feedback about yourself. But I got to tell you, I spent the last 3 days with our head of sales, and I've got some different ideas on how to do this. I really did.
Yeah.
I'm always inspired by a really excellent salesperson. And I thought to myself,
how would you sell yourself? This is...
So
this is great.
So listen,
very valid.
You're working at a job, right? Like, let's take the question asker, for example. He's been at this European retailer for almost 6 months and is wondering, how am I doing? Well, that's not actually what you want to accomplish. What you want to accomplish is keep your job.
Yeah.
And the way you keep your job is by influencing the way people feel about you, not assessing the way they feel about you. Now, to be fair, if you actually want to do a good job, you do need to know what people think about your work.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm a truth seeker, and I love that. But if you want your boss to think you're doing a good job, and I don't mean in a deceptive way, I mean to understand truly the good job that you are objectively doing, you have to tell your boss the good job that you're doing. I learned this early in my career when I realized that feedback that came in to my boss about me that was negative would take months for me to hear about, and by the time I did hear about it, it was way too late for me to do anything about my employment situation or my pay. And so I learned from that to start sharing who was it, Jamison, who came up with the idea of a brag document?
I think Julia Evans was the
Julia Evans. There you go.
I heard it from.
The brag document. You have to be willing to tell your boss the good things that you've done, because your boss is just not, the default state is they don't know what you did. They just don't know. They have too much that they're managing and too much to keep track of. And so you need to go tell them, especially during your probation period. Like every week, maybe every 2 weeks, you're like, hey, here are all the things I got done, and highlight the accomplishments. Don't spam them with 1,000 things you got done. Call out the big, impactful things that you did every week or two, maybe every month, so that at the end of the probation period, they don't wonder. They don't have to do any work or research to realize, I got to retain this team member.
Yeah.
That's the sales way to do it.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up. It's very valid. And I think implicit in what I was talking about is, and thus, I don't know, do something to make it better. But
well, also true. Of course, I do believe that was implicit in what you said. I wasn't trying to say
no.
your idea was bad.
No, I don't.
And your idea is fundamentally better because it is more like I am going to be better by collecting this
I mean, I
feedback.
don't think so though. It's sort of if a tree falls in the forest, if
Yes.
you write great code that your manager does not know about, does it help your job security?
Did you actually write great code?
Yeah, and kind of indirectly, probably yes. Like fewer bugs, it's easier to work with. Your team kind of has this idea that you write great code, but that all has to filter up to your manager, and it takes a long time, and
sometimes it doesn't make it at all.
Yep.
Also,
Sometimes
it's you're missing the key objective. The key objective is keep my job.
Yeah.
Like that's the main objective.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually not the main. That's actually a crappy way to live. But if you want to keep your job, you do have to do that. Like the real great way to live is be impactful and useful and good.
Yeah.
And do great things. And then the rest will take care of itself. But sometimes the rest doesn't take care of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to say something more than but that is very wise. And it is a classic kind of engineer pitfall to say, well, the artifact, the output is what matters, and the world, the consequences in the world descend from the output of my work. They are, and that's just not how it is. There's a bunch of fuzzy people stuff going on.
That's right. And that's important.
That's why you listen to this show.
Yep.
Because we are not going to tell you how to write the code, because that's our patented unobtainium tier Patreon level, no bugs driven development philosophy. And if we tell you that, then what advantage do we have? But we can help you with all the other stuff.
Exactly. That's our moat.
Yeah.
You not knowing the truly good advice.
Yes.
You keep coming back for more.
Yeah. Dave.
Okay. So I want to read our next question, but first I want to wrap up and just say, as snarky as this may sound, asking how to get good feedback is the wrong question. The right question is, how do I make sure my boss knows that I should be retained? That's it. Weird.
Love it.
Okay, sorry. Would you read our next question now, Jamison?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I would, and I will, and I shall. Trevor asks, how do I balance depth with breadth? At my current job, I am moved around projects and codebases all the time, and I am exposed to a variety of technologies and sub-areas. That's cool, but I feel like I only managed to face the consequences of our choices for a couple months until I moved again. I think I need time to really become an expert in any one area. At the same time, I dread getting stuck in maintenance work. It seems like most people around me at my company or outside find it boring and soul-sucking and are only excited about major projects from scratch. Does a job that has a good balance of both exist, and if so, how do I find it?
Ooh, Trevor, what do we know about? Is this a big company? Do we know that?
I don't remember. Let's see. If we go check in our handy spreadsheet.
Software startup.
Well,
wait, that's not Trevor. Sorry, that's totally different. Established software company.
Okay.
10 plus years old.
Well, not only LLMs can hallucinate.
Yeah. Turns out I can too. This does sound soul-sucking to me.
What does? Maintenance work?
Yeah, jumping from project to project every few months and just doing maintenance on something that you don't feel a strong sense of ownership on.
What does the word maintenance mean here? Because if the alternative to maintenance is starting a new project from scratch, basically almost all software development is maintenance then.
I think I have a slightly different definition of maintenance than that. I think maintenance is everything except building new stuff. Whether you're adding new features to existing products or building new products from scratch, that would be non-maintenance.
Yeah.
But maintenance to me would be like, oh, we need to upgrade our Spring framework to the newer version because our oldest one just went end of life. I mean, our previous
bug
version.
Fixes seem like maintenance often.
Yeah, bug fixing, or our company is moving to a new CI/CD pipeline and I have to migrate it. I don't know. These kinds of things. It's like the stuff that we spend literally like a third of our time on.
Yeah. Robots should do all that stuff. I've been told
Nowadays,
that robots can just do all that stuff, and I can only do the cool stuff now.
They also are supposed to be doing my laundry by now, but
yeah, I would love that.
The only robots I've seen doing that have a human on the other end of a internet connection.
Yeah. Have you seen the one where the robot very visibly takes its headset off as the worker connected at the other end ends their shift?
I haven't seen that one. That's so great.
Yeah. And then it just mysteriously stops moving.
The order matters. First, disconnect the arm units, then take your headset off.
Oh, that feels so horrible and
so
dystopian. If there's really literally a tele-controlled robot doing your laundry, did you know we can outsource manual labor to not just call centers? Now that's horrifying.
Are you envious of your friends that live overseas that have people to do their laundry?
Yeah.
Well, now those people can do your laundry.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
It's terrible.
And yet, there's a little part of me that looks at the giant pile of unfolded laundry.
Tempting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't those children need jobs, Dave?
those children. Those children
Aren't I
in a
boosting
war-torn
the
country?
economy somehow? Okay. Only get to face.
It's
So
either that or cowering in fear in a bomb shelter. Come on, fold my laundry.
yeah,
It's so terrible.
I do feel like there's a false dichotomy here of either I build new major projects from scratch or I'm doing boring maintenance work, and there's a big middle area of working on valuable things, and most valuable things are not started from scratch. They're enhanced and maintained over a long period of time. So there's there's an infinite amount of, we built V0 of this thing and got enough traction, and now we have this whole product direction that will take a long time to execute on.
Yes, and I think that's inherent here. That's like the other aspect of this question, which is I never stick around long enough on a single project to get to that level of accomplishment.
Yeah, that's the worst of both worlds, because often the shape of someone who sticks around a really long time is like, this project is just sort of mothballed and we need the one person who knows everything about it to keep it up and running.
Yeah. And that there's a little bit of grass is greener syndrome on this question too, because this person is envious of that person that gets to stick on this project for a long time. But sometimes the long timers, they look at their project and they're like, man, I've been working on this same thing for 4 years and it's just such a bore, you know? And then you got this other person who's like, every 3 months I work on a brand new project and it's so terrible.
Yeah, there's probably I wonder why. Why do you get moved around all the time? That might be a useful question to ask. Is it just everybody gets moved around? Is it just random?
Like our project shutting down?
Yeah. Is it random and it just like somebody has to flip the coin heads 47 times in a row? It just so happens you're the stochastically gifted person that happens to be part of the random shuffles every time. I dread getting stuck in maintenance work. If you get moved around a lot, that's the shape of a really high quality engineer, where you'll parachute them in to go solve crises all over the place. But I don't get the sense that they're the kind of like staff engineer that jumps in and rescues things from the way this question is ordered.
Yeah. I got the same impression. It's not that.
I don't have an answer to why you get moved around a lot, but that could be a useful question to ask. I do think sticking around is how you earn the cred to be able to say, I think we should do this big new thing. Like if you prove you can do something useful, that sometimes takes a little while, and that's easier if you stick around. So there is some amount of paying your dues, where if you do some of the boring work, you kind of prove that you are trustworthy, prove that you have good, useful ideas, and then you kind of try a little bit more exciting things. And if those work well, you get even more cred to try even more exciting things. Only excited about major projects from scratch. I don't know. I find maintenance interesting or exciting because I like polishing stuff.
Interesting.
And every time, everything you've ever shipped has had many compromises to get it out the door faster, many of which were the correct business decision. I'm not trying to say the compromises are bad, but you just look at it and go, oh, but that part could be better. And then if you're maintaining something, you get a chance to say, now it's worth it. Enough people use it. Enough people depend on it. This is enough of a pain that the part that we knew was a pain is worth it to fix. I find that very satisfying.
Yeah. But you probably have to stay on the project long enough for that to feel that sense of satisfaction.
Yeah. So it's almost like there's a chicken and an egg problem here of well, how do you stay? I don't know. Why do you keep getting moved? I don't know. Solve one of those and you solve the other one.
Yeah, that is interesting. But I do think I would also get tired of this situation. It seems like this question asker Trevor is not the only one. Most people around me they find it boring and soul-sucking and are only excited about major projects from scratch. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that probably means they're also getting moved around a lot and only working on old stuff that they didn't create for short periods of time.
You can't do a major project from scratch in a few months either, though. So
yeah. Or maybe it is. Maybe it feels major because it's like brand new, lots of hype around it.
Yeah.
You got a marketing team cranking it up. You got a bunch of engineers working together on it, as opposed to Trevor working alone in some corner on some old legacy software that's terrible.
Yeah. There's a really dumb answer to this question that's sort of the same dumb answer to the last question, which is just like, be really visibly awesome, and then you'll become the mega staff principal engineer that gets parachuted into cool stuff.
Yeah.
I've worked around a few engineers that feel I should sit down and think, try to articulate what it is about them that gave them this power. But they had the power to do big things, and nobody gave them permission to. They just did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for some people, they wait for permission a lot. I feel like I'm definitely that shape where I don't want to touch stuff that might mess something up. So if someone says, go build this big giant thing, then I'll go dig in and tear it apart. But I'm worried about breaking existing things a lot. And some engineers that I've worked with are just really good at not worrying about that, I guess. It sounds like a backhanded compliment. But I think that gives you the power to do bold and ambitious and exciting things wherever you are, even if you're working on maintenance. Or on a thing that feels like maintenance to you. There's given enough willingness to change stuff. There's some value to be had there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I'm just saying vague nothings about this, though.
Perfect.
Bring us home, Dave. What's the real good concrete advice?
The real concrete advice is quit your job and go find a job where you can work on something more stable and that's not maintenance.
This is a reason people quit, though. I mean, it's one of them. I think manager they don't like is probably more common, but I just didn't like the kind of stuff I was doing. I've
project,
seen that.
yeah, that's very common.
Yeah.
I think that's even more common than manager for engineers. I just don't want to work on this. It's boring. It's soul-sucking.
Maybe a meta, or not even a meta, this is a direct thing you could do, is it's possible your manager doesn't know this, that you are not excited about the state of things. If everyone is complaining about it, everyone finds it soul-sucking, then yeah, maybe they do know. But it's worth bringing up. Say, hey, I'm not pumped about this. Is there any way I can work on something different? I think part of the problem is, from your question, it's not clear to me what that different thing is. Do you want to really become an expert? Do you want to build a new thing? I guess you become an expert if you build the new thing. But if you really want to dig into a deep, complicated, important system, that probably already exists, especially at an established software company.
Yeah.
So, those are different shapes.
You could just ask also, just be like, hey, keep me on the next project for a while.
Yeah.
But then again, if it's just all stuff you hate doing, then I don't know. That won't work either.
That won't work either.
Well,
that wraps up our advice.
Perfect. I got nothing to add.
All right. I think that means we're done. We've done it. We've answered the question.
We did it.
Hooray. Dave, what can people do if they want their own questions answered to such depth and with such erudite wisdom as we just delivered?
If you would like the kind of insight that we have to offer applied to your problems, go to softskills.audio and click on the Ask a Question button where you can fill out our form. We thank everyone who has done that. The questions keep pouring in and we love them. We love you. Keep them coming.
Thank you. We will catch you next week.